So this show started, I believe the date was June 24th, 2024 is when I put the first song into the playlist that is now over 3 hours long and makes up the show. And throughout that time, I think that playlist is a good kind of fast and miniature version of the process, because what's now at, I believe, a little over 70 tracks or songs or movie scores or instrumental music is at one point, if we put everything that was in there at all time, it would be well over 100, 150 songs, because as I worked with the cast, as I worked by myself on the script or the design or the setting, everything changed specifically in a song that I felt was going to work really strong for a particular moment, just completely made zero sense 2 weeks later. And so after that, I spent the summer into really the fall towards December. I have my copy of 1984. You can't read it because there's highlighting and notes everywhere. Really just understanding this book front to cover, this as well as the Overcoat. And I created basically what's the closest thing we get to a script in a sense, which is a loop chart, which has 10 columns and then rows for all the minutes. Each column is a character. And that was basically how I figured out, starting with some of the more central storylines in 1984, okay, I have these scenes here, this is where there's overlap. Well, now we also have characters that have nothing to do with these scenes, and characters that may have one or two things to do with these scenes. How can we use that as a starting point, or ending point, or middle point to build their story around it, and create, and allow them to exist completely and fully within this larger cacophony of madness. And then, after all that boring stuff is over, I started with the cast in the very end of December. And so one of our very first rehearsals was in the space, obviously no set, no nothing. I came in early, I turned all the lights off, it was late at night, and I put little tiny, the small candles, or as Owen Barnes calls them, fuck-ass candles, around. And they all had papers next to them which printed out like small instructions. So whispering the name of your first love to yourself 5 times. You see the ghosts of the past coming down the stairs. How do you react? Reciting to yourself, movement directions. And what this exercise was to allow the cast to enter the space blind as the audience will. And it's an exercise developed by the company Punch Drunk. It's a version of hide and seek where it's about the individuality of the performers existing within the larger world of the exercise. And then from that, we went on December break, and then we had weekly Sunday rehearsals for 5 hours on Sunday nights, which everyone loves, where we basically would come in. Ended up being 58 scenes, although that kind of shifted a lot throughout the process. And we would come in, and I had a sheet, and it would have, 5 to 10 scenes, and it was like, all right, everybody, let's split up and let's go. And they would each get like a 1-page write-up that I would write, explaining them the goal, the circumstances of the scene, the space, and the music, anything that they needed, and lines if there were lines in it. And I think just the biggest way to explain how this process went is comparing early rehearsals when there was a lot of, Alex, what do I do, where do I begin, what is this show, what are we doing, which is fair, and I would be doing the same thing if I was in their circumstances, to then towards the end where I would be like, hey, you guys, you have this scene, go in the other room and do it, and then I would give notes, whatever, and a few hours later, they had this whole thing. And it really became, we spoke a lot about the ideas of having a collective perspective, in that we are all telling the same story that is little different facets of this world, separately, but also as an ensemble, and as well just being your own director and taking collective responsibility for the collaboration of this piece. Because as much as my direction, vision is present everywhere, that is just the starting point, and it only gets to where it has gotten to because of the cast, and they are just fucking incredible and unbelievable. And the world that we've made together is only able to be so specific and nuanced and unique because of them. And then we get to tech, and we go from having all these random scenes disconnected throughout the place we've been working on for months, and then there's me and the stage manager at the table, and then we press go, and it's like, all right, have fun. And then we layer on. And at the beginning with tech, it's a lot of technical stuff. Okay, I have to leave this scene a bit earlier than I thought to get down here. But then that transitions into, okay, I have this minute or these 30 seconds to transition from scene to scene. How can I use that to build my story and build upon the loop that I'm living in? And so the last real 2 weeks, although it's really 3 because we had break in the middle, were really dedicated to that. And then we transitioned into dress rehearsals, and we did invited dress, and now performances. And that was like the most simplified version of the last 10 months of my life doing the show. So reflecting on the 2 shows we've had, or 3 with the invited dress, although obviously we have to close it, is I think more than ever with any piece I've worked on, iteration after iteration, it only becomes more focused and more specific. It's just been comparing the way audiences even interacted with the space from this morning to 3 nights ago is completely night and day. And it's been so lovely. Oftentimes I'll just, after a large scene, kind of just stand back and watch how the audience disperse. And the differences of maybe there were some loops where there was some kind of wandering or people unsure what to do versus this morning when a scene would end and you'd have 50 people all clamoring to follow who they want to see and get more of this scene. And then that same voice and sphere of the community of experiencing it all together is definitely true after the show as well. And there's so many times for me watching these just amazing actors in the show of it finally feeling, like the fulfillment you always want but never have. I think I have been able to peer into that more and more in these last few shows, and it means the world to have that personal experience within this collective experience and show that we've all made. When it comes to goals and stuff, this is now the fifth show that I've done with Valley Road, and since even in that first year I always made it a point to do something we had never done before with every show. Whether that is shows where it's small and it's one audience for the run, or it's something like this where we're getting 50, 60, 70, 80 people within the building. It has really been to explore performance and connection, whether it's proscenium or immersive, in ways that we never have, and often that just you don't get to work with at this age. And living within the space this past month has been just really nuts. It doesn't feel real, honestly. Like I feel like I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and be like, yeah, that just didn't happen. It is St. John's, Lisa, Laura, everyone in the church are just the most amazing people ever. Because also, like, it's very new work. It's very unconventional, and we really are using, everything. And the trust they've placed in all of us is just supreme. They could not have given more of themselves and their building to us, and it really means a lot to me. I think, I don't know, I feel like I'm like skirting around your answer a bit because I cannot explain what this means in the grand scheme of my career and my life yet. It definitely is a very big high point. It is the culmination and the capstone, if you will, of my high school years of Valley Road. So on kind of reactions, it's obviously difficult. It's a good question, but it's a difficult question because I have no control over what people see. But there's a few ways to answer that. One way is just the technical aspect of it, where if there's a large scene I want a lot of people to see, such as That's Life, which is Winston getting taken by the thought police, that happens in one of the largest spaces. Same thing with the 2 Minutes Hate, it happens in the large space downstairs. So we're able to fit everyone, and when there's 9 people there, you go, okay, this is important, this is going to feed me information I need. I think on top of that, it also just comes from, even though we're looping and we're providing the same scenes and ideas and emotions in different ways for different characters, there is a through line through all of it. And one of the actors, Jason, asked me a few months ago, similar question. What do you want people to see? What do you want people to take away with? And I was like, they're going to see the 2 minutes hate. They're going to see at least one scene where people are enjoying their lives and happiness in a smaller space where they are able to kind of tear away from this totalitarian world for just one moment, as well as at least seeing one scene of violence and torture. And if I can hit all those 3 scenes, which is the response I've been getting for every audience member, my goal as a storyteller is complete. And more as the audience are in a sense figuring out how to play the show, people are coming up to me after and a lot more being okay with, I don't understand the narrative of everybody, but you're not supposed to. They're understanding the emotional narrative we're delivering to them and the experience and the very visceral connection you get from the design of everything, from the lighting to the sound to the set to the placement of the rooms, to the placement of the people, to the placement of the characters, and that it all serves a purpose. And every little small detail, whether it's a large dance number with 6 people and there's bright lights and shouting, or whether it's you and a performer in a room together as they're reading you or reciting some deep secret they desperately need to share. I had been worried that this wouldn't be fulfilling for all this week, and that this is the longest I've been in a space, longest I've texted something, any of this. It's been crazy, but it really, today has felt like it's all been worth it. And that is the most amazing feeling ever. Although we do have to strike it, which is going to kill me and everyone else. But we did it, and we're here, and I think people don't want to kill me. They might want to kill me, but at least people are smiling. Not in the show, though. It's a pretty rough show, but it's pretty violent.